Alrighty, so throttle cable and the bracket is what I'm working on today. It should be able to be driven around the block once that's completed, so that'll be pretty sweet. I'm going to start with taking some measurements of those two bolts in there. So I'm going to build a bracket that mounts off there to then hold the throttle cable, which then connects to the injector pump right there. I'm gonna grab my calipers, start taking some measurements, and then let's bust out the drill and the welder. Okay, after cutting a few pieces of steel, I figured out kind of how I want it to be mocked up. So I'm gonna have it stick out like this so I don't have to unbolt the plate from the side of the block to change the oil, because that's my oil filter. So I have a vice grips holding those things together. So I'm gonna pop those bolts out, take that thing out, mark it, and then start welding. All right, pretty far from my best work, as I'm still trying to get the hang of this whole welding thing, but it should be in there. So I'm gonna go knock that corner off and drill this thing and bolt it back up to the engine. Sorry you guys missed some of that install. It was just a little difficult to hold the camera and do all that. And unfortunately with the cold weather and leaving my GoPro in my car, it is dead. So anyways, we have our bracket. Not super proud of how this went, but it is holding, especially after like beefing on it a little bit. So now all I have to do is connect this thing right to there. So I'm gonna have to use an extension, or I'm thinking I might even just cut like a little piece of steel and use that kind of for the time being until I figure out a more permanent solution to more or less like give this thing a little bit of space and or an adapter on there. I thought I had an old shift linkage adapter from an old Volvo that would stick on there. I just can't seem to find it. So I'm gonna go brainstorm the garage real quick and I'll update you guys with what I'm gonna use to finish this final linkage. All right, so I figured I'm just gonna do a little chunk of aluminum. I'm just gonna drill 2 holes in it just to kind of make that gap work. So I'm gonna show you guys what I got so far. All right, there's the finished product. Again, not great, but good enough. So it's still, yeah, it's cold enough to touch. So that's just gonna go just like that. I'm gonna give you a bolt and we're gonna mount that up. Yeah, it should be all right. So I really have no idea how it feels this bad. But I still want to drive it around the block anyways. So I'm going to put away some of these tools, fire this thing up, let it warm up, and take it around the block and see what happens. I'm going to go start this thing, let it warm up for a minute. So I am going to leave the intake not fully plumbed right now, just because I don't have a boost controller or anything else hooked up, and the wastegate is welded shut. So I think that's just the best practices thing. And then I'm also not going to latch the hood fully, because I have my heater hose that I'm not exactly sure why this part of the system's having some issues. So let's fire this thing up. Probably also zip tie this loom of wires that I'm still working on, some of those connector locations, just so they don't scrape. So it seems to be a little cold-blooded, not running quite right when it's freezing. So I might boost the idle up a bit, or I'll just let it warm up for a little longer. Alright, so this thing is licensed and insured in the state of Michigan. So we're not doing anything illegal. Throttle works. Just don't want to step on that light too much. All right, let's find reverse. Okay, so the throttle feels not great. Definitely needs to be revisited. It's hard to find its engagement spot. That's giving me oil pressure light. Everything still sounds fine, so maybe I wired something incorrectly. So it's first gear. Let's try to grab second. Alright, she's trying. Sounds like a jet fighter. It's also a little weird without the turbo not hooked up, so there's no boost right now. Might as well buckle just to do everything by the book. Let's grab first. Oh, amateur hour. Dang, dude, this clutch and my job with the throttle is very subpar. Oop. No, this thing's a piece. bad fuel. I don't know. Brakes feel solid. I mean, feels like it's just about trying to get that throttle thing. Gotta take a look, make sure there's nothing on fire. Wait, that e-brake doesn't work. Thing just went to the moon. All right, let's just try it again. I'm really curious to see how it'll feel. I haven't done anything different with the throttle. Might as well buckle up so it doesn't beep. I'll crack another window, so I'm not gonna gas myself out too hard. All right, here we go. Right now, that's full throttle with my linkage, so that's not good. That should definitely be more. Again, this is full throttle right now. Unless something else is wrong with it, or my timing's off. Yeah, maybe my timing's off. That might explain the smoke and a few of the other things. So this is flat out right now in second gear. Stop, go. See, do I have heat? We have heat, nice. So I didn't completely butcher the coolant loop. So I want to see if I can get this thing into third gear, if that's possible. If I can actually drive this thing. Oh no, that's exactly what I was afraid of. F. Come on, baby. Come on. Come on. Okay, second gear. I'm
flat out wide open right now. Let's try third. Pedals to the ground. It's because that linkage won't go all the way. But can I get up to 30? Come on, almost. Come on, you can do it. Just turn here and go around the block. Part of me wants to take this through the car wash just to get it cleaned up. I just don't know if I can, like, if it's a good idea to go onto the main roads right now. So I definitely might want to get a mechanical oil pressure gauge to actually watch that and verify. But I don't know if the thing's just like throwing a bunch of like false flags just because of the computer has no idea what's happening right now. Especially since the tachometer is in fact hooked up, but it's not showing anything. Same with the coolant temp sensor. All right, let's go take a look under the hood, see what's going on. So another thing I'm kind of curious about is I am spinning this alternator backwards, and according to a lot of literature I've read online, they will generate power because it's a three-phase system, but it's not going to be as efficient as it would be if it's spinning the right direction. So to verify that this thing's generating power, I'm gonna hook up a multimeter to the battery. Let's go figure out. Steady, so that's a good sign. I gotta turn the heat on in here, increase the draw a bit. coolant system to fully burp itself out. So somehow after that drive and multiple stalls, the motor mounts are still holding together. Yeah, not my prize work, but I'll say it's acceptable. So I'm curious now about if I shorten this up, will that help? Because there is a lot of dead spot in the pedal. Or if there's something else I messed up somewhere. So if you know anything about making your own throttle cables, linkages, please shoot me a note or something in the comments, or even my email's in the channel description. And I'd love to hear what y'all have to say about it, or if you have any suggestions, because I know that's not a permanent solution. So it's been idling for a while. Coolant pipes are starting to get pretty hot. I feel like I still did something incorrectly with the coolant loop. Thermostat still hasn't cracked yet, and I mean, this top one's pretty hot. It's feeling decently pressurized. So I'm not sure, maybe there's some air in the system or something. So after just letting it idle for a while, coolant gauge is starting to come up, so that's a good sign that it's plumbed correctly and wired correctly. But then that makes me even more nervous about the low oil pressure, because if I in fact did connect that sensor correctly, what's it doing? It could also be something too where maybe the diesel 1.9 ALH runs at a different oil pressure at different RPMs versus the 2.0 TFSI. Could be. I will also explore that. And then I was playing around with the pedal. I was like, man, why does this thing suck? And so I can grab the top of the cable way back in here and push it down, and there's a lot of slack, like probably a good inch or two. And then if you listen, so I need to reposition the pedal and bend that metal rod at the top further towards the driver's seat to accommodate for that slack. Here's where we're at. Why I was having throttle issues. So as this pedal is depressed, you can see at the end, the stick is not moving how it should be. So basically that means my glue weld job did not hold. So this thing's got to come out, and I got to figure out another solution for that. That is a big bummer, because this thing was actually, I think, a very stressful part of this whole project. So I'm going to go pull this pedal bracket, pop that off, and figure out what exactly went wrong. All right, well, this thing let me down. So as you can see, this pedal deal, yeah, that's not helping. So what I'm thinking I might do is cut a piece of steel, drill 2 holes, drill into that piece of steel, and then mount or weld this to that piece. I'm gonna go drill a hole through this, drill a hole through the back of the pedal, notch this for this stick, and then I'm just gonna weld around it so that rod cannot go back anymore. So I'm gonna do that really quick, throw it back in, see if that fixes it. All right, so that was kind of my thought. Kind of bend that tab back, and then just weld around that to the rod. And then I'm gonna drill through this, and I'll just put a
screw in a nut to kind of just hold that piece together, so then there's no way this thing should flex. So I'm gonna drill it and fire up the welder. So that big winter storm is starting to hit, and I hope this thing is set for drifting tomorrow. I'd love to go rip around in the snow with this thing with no nannies, no traction control, no ABS. Just kind of flogging the gas, smiling in the breeze, you know. So for the time being, I'm just gonna throw this screw in here. And then I'm gonna put a washer and a nut on the end of it. So this should be enough to just hold it into place, so when I weld, everything is kosher. Shoot, this thing's actually going in pretty tight, so maybe I don't even need to do that. Wow, that is, I would say, near, I don't like to use the word perfect, but that's it. That's it, Chief. Let's fire up the welder. Well, I mean, she's on there, so should be good enough to throw in. Oh yeah, that is very, very rigid, so that should be a-okay. Kind of want to tack like just one or two more shots in it, but I mean, realistically, after what I just did, this thing's not moving. Threw that new pedal modification in, so I'm gonna start it, let it warm up for a second, and take it for a drive around the block. Okay, so basically instantly the throttle modification did in fact work. All right, let's take it around the block and see what happens. All right, well, it feels pretty good. I'm gonna go drive this thing to Meyer and put in some diesel, so let's go for a ride. Yeah, my timing is definitely off by a few teeth, or a few degrees. You got the belt? No, just the belt cover. I'd get out of this.
lot of snow. Well, that's enough for today. Unfortunately, some things are still having issues, like the temp gauge comes and goes. It's also got like no power. I'm thinking my timing could be slightly off, and that also my ALDA is not plumbed. So that's basically what tells the fuel pump, hey, we got boost coming, give us more fuel. Anyways, still pretty good progress. My dad joined me for a test drive, and it runs and drives. So not driving well, but yeah, it runs and drives. So I'll see you guys on the next one. Hopefully I have my boost hooked up and my timing slightly adjusted so then I can do some donuts in the snow. All right, thanks for tuning in. Kyle, that case of beer, please. See you guys.